Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. This is going to be fun. We're down here at Luna Del C. I gave my blue Betty Boop scratch off. I got another one over here to give to Dave Sims. I think I'm allowed to give it to guys in our Maryland residents. He's in Baltimore right now. We're down here at Luna Del C. It's all brought to you by our friends at Window Nation and our other pals, newest sponsors, Window Nation and our friends at Goodwill Industries, taking this crab cake tour, and I've only had one bite of this delicious crab. Dude, Philadelphia guy, they didn't give you cheesesteaks up there, man.
Hey, cheesesteaks wit. You want some sauce wit?
Are you wit or you wit out?
Oh, I'm wit.
You always wit?
Oh, absolutely.
Dude, you took your Jackie Robinson hat off. Look at that,
it's
man.
Hot. Yeah,
you got your 42 going here.
Yeah, man. We got this, 5 years ago maybe, African American Heritage Day. And a dude was handing them out. I said, yeah, I'll take the box, please. Thank you very much. So,
see, that's like a Bruce Bochy, old school, Rupert Jones. That's old school there, right?
Yeah. And
Floyd Bannister, right?
And I've had, when Jeff Bannister was the manager of the Rangers, I walked into his office one time. We were down there, and he says, I want the cap. And so many guys were like, I had to give out cap. Tim Anderson wanted one. And so I'd like to have about grow some more of them, to be honest with you.
To get one for me, I give it to Alan McCallum, who's been African-American, been my baseball reporter for 35 years, almost 30 years now, since the beginning. So for you being here, I text you, I tweeted you. I've known Dave Sims since I was nationally syndicated 20 years ago. Philadelphia guys made your way out to Seattle. We're going to talk about sports and all that stuff, but we've known each other a long time. And I'm doing this crab cake tour because I don't do all sports anymore, right? I mean, okay. I've mixed things up. My wife's had cancer twice and battled. She's doing great. She's beautiful today.
That was the last time I talked to you. I think she got it for the first time. That was
in 2014.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Mariners were in town, and you and I were talking. She was in the hospital.
Yeah.
So she's had 2 bone marrow transplants. We're actually going to see her donor, the man that saved her life, in Germany next week.
Right on.
We know him.
Good.
We're going to go spend a little time with him next week, too, over in Germany. So that'll be great. I don't think in sports terms as much. And 3 or 4 years ago when the Orioles really went in a can, right? I stopped calling 5 guys like you and calling Stone and when the Mariners come in.
What are you going to say?
Yeah, it just became like, what could I say about a team that's going to lose 110 games? And so I love sports. I love the Orioles. I love baseball. But I don't bother you guys so much. And part of the baseball thing is there's so few people traveling. And I thought I'm doing the show here a block away, old school, like I did at Balls and Hooters back in the 90s, where I would always have traveling media members. How players would come by.
Sure.
If a kid was from Baltimore pitching for the Mariners, he'd come down and sit with me on his off day and do the show, right? And there was all of that vibe for it. There's not as much sports radio in that way or live or this or ballpark in this town anymore in the way that it once was because you were at the game last night. How many people were really there?
I was on radio. I'm on radio for this series. And I looked out second inning, and I said, this ballpark holds upwards of 43,000. They'll be lucky. They don't have 10,000 people in here. It was 8,074. That's announced. That was announced. So if you tell me there was 5 in there, I'd absolutely buy it. It's a shame. I mean, I've come here in the past, when this ball club was rolling. I mean, you've got 300 lost seasons the last 4 years. They have shown improvement this year. There's no question about it. It's still early. Here we are, June 1. But it's a shame. This was, the AL East has always been such a great division and loaded. Especially since Tampa Bay came up, got going, and the Orioles are going. The Yankees and Boston are a constant. Toronto's pretty much a constant. It's just tough. I mean, I'm an I-95 guy, born and raised in Philly, live in New York City, so it's different coming here now for sure.
Well, for baseball.
No.
Now tell me, because you're traveling a lot of places. And I don't think of you as baseball first, right? I mean, I think of you as a sports guy, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you've done Olympics, football, NFL. I met you through football, I think.
Yep.
I've collected so many, 31st year on the radio, right? So I've collected people I don't even know.
Well, I remember you did some stuff in New York. There was a network. You had a network gig up there.
Yeah, I was 101 Sports and Sporting News Radio when I was syndicated.
Exactly.
So I was on the radio every day in New York from 98, 99, 2000, and 01. Those 4 years.
I was at Channel 2 in 98, 90.
That's how we met then. You were a guest on my show.
Yeah.
You probably came down to Mickey Mantle.
I was going to say, because I used to do my FAN show. I would fill in for Bill Mazer, Front Window, Mickey Mantle's restaurant, 90 to 92, 93. Because I had my own show with at Coleman. We did 10 to 2. And when Mazur would take a blow or whatever, we'd go over and do the show there. One of us would go over and do the show in the front
I
window.
was so blessed, man, to do the show in that window.
It was great.
I mean, I'm trying to think of all the famous people I saw,
please.
the people that sat down with me.
Yeah.
Tony Bennett sat down with me one day in the window.
He was walking
there.
by, right?
He was walking by.
Yeah, exactly. Wave him
Johnny
in.
Depp was walking by one day. We were talking about Johnny Depp. He did not come in, but he did walk by. We had one day I was in there, and Regis Philbin was eating in the back, and this is when Regis was doing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh, he was
most
huge.
famous guy in the world, Regis Philbin at that time, right?
Nice
and he's
man.
back there, and I went up to him and I said, Nestor Aparicio, you're related to the ball player. And I said, yeah. And he said, I'll come on your show. Of course I'll come on.
Well, you should have Rick Riz on it. He'll flip out.
That wasn't a bad. That wasn't a bad.
That was
Regis.
a very good Regis. I was about to say
that was a decent Regis.
Yeah, I would give you a B-. I was about to say my radio partner Rick Riz. his hero is Louis.
Oh,
God,
well, then I want it. Then tomorrow we'll be back in
Yeah,
Luna Del C. Another crab cake tomorrow, Tony.
Yeah.
We'll come down here. But thanks for coming. It's good to
Yeah,
see you.
I just I'll drop a name. Ken Singleton's been a long-time friend, so we had lunch. Love the guy. Great guy.
Who doesn't love Ken Singleton?
Right? And
He even likes me.
I tell you what, he had a great career as a player and a darn good announcer. I think, Hall of Fame worthy, I think, in Baseball Hall of Fame. He's a great human being. And we had a lot of laughs having lunch today, so it was great seeing him. We missed each other.
He would have golfed with you if it weren't
Well,
110.
A and B.
I can't believe he wasn't
yesterday.
golfing.
Well, we were off. What was it? Day before yesterday. I was here and I called. I knew I was coming. We'd have an off day, but he was in Jersey with his wife and kids and grandkids and whatnot, so I couldn't do it. But next time we'll get some golfing.
He's related to Doc Rivers. Did you know that?
Yeah, he was telling me that. Yeah, his mom and Doc's mom were sisters.
We've talked about that at
Four
length.
was it five children, 4 girls. The male in the family was the baby. Yeah.
There's no better company than Ken Singleton, unless it's Dave Sims from the Mariners broadcast team and Root Sports. I want to talk to you about baseball a little bit because I don't do a lot of it. We've done some Rutschman this week, and obviously the Orioles brought him up in the middle on Preakness Day at 8 in the morning. They announced
On Preakness Day, that's right.
Dude,
yeah.
it's just there's nobody over there that's thinking. I don't know what else to say, and I've been saying that for 25
Talk
years.
about getting your lead buried by the Preakness Day.
I don't know. It doesn't. But more than that, trying to get some people down to fill up Luna Del C and order a crab cake and go to the games. We're trying to get people back to the games. And we can hold our nose and urinate upon it and say there were 5,000 people and it was hot and the kids are in school and whatever the excuses are. But you get on a plane and you go from Seattle to wherever it is with a baseball team. Tell me how baseball's doing on the inside, and you make your living through it, right? So we want it to be better. I don't make my living through it because there was no living to be made anymore here through doing it. There was no more. I began my career doing that. I'm so concerned about it. I'm concerned for us.
The NFL rules the sports calendar, and
it wasn't that way for old guys like us back
absolutely
in the day.
not. And now, I tip my cap to them. They absolutely dominate the calendar. You got OTAs coming up. You had the pre-draft. You had the draft. I mean, they're excellent. They make a big deal out of the schedule announcement. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, and that has grown especially large. I mean,
They have to own one event a month.
Oh, easy.
Well,
no question.
But if
no
they don't,
question.
they'll move the combine a month.
No,
They're going to move the Super Bowl into the middle of February before it's over.
Pretty much. It's almost there. It's a week away
they're
from
gonna have
that.
an
With
18
Feb
game
7.
They're gonna
Right.
do that.
Absolutely. I mean, and I haven't done sports talk radio on a daily basis in 30 years, but it's just unbelievable. Baseball-wise, and I know as one of the 2 full-time Black American announcers in baseball.
We're not going to let you gloss that.
I'm one of 2 Black American lead announcers.
I'm trying to figure out who the other one is, so just give me a minute.
Yeah.
Who is Kenny? Not Kenny. Singleton.
No. I'm talking about lead and not color commentators. I'm talking about, hey, low ball 3. And don't forget, coming up next week, that whole thing.
You want to read my plugs for Goodwill?
Yeah, right. Robert Ford, a kid out of the Bronx by way of Syracuse University, worked his way through the minors. He's the lead radio voice for the Astros. It's just me and him as the lead guys in baseball.
Well, baseball's willed that, right?
Pretty much because Black Americans we're down to 6-7%.
Oh, all this RBI they talked about here 25 years ago, right? And I think they had Frank Robinson out at the beginning of that RBI, reviving baseball in the inner cities. RBI. I don't know what
Here's the problem.
That's been a failed project.
Here's the thing. You can have a lot of participation there, but the number and percentage of guys who will make it to the major leagues is going to be small. So, it's better than nothing, okay? I'd like to see the list of RBI graduates. I mean, you'd have to go back, 20 years to see how many cats made it. But you also want to get to a point where you develop fans. And you get more black fans in the state.
Well, in Atlanta, when you move the team away from black fans.
I was just talking about that, yeah. They moved that.
I mean, I don't
I
even
talked
know
about
how to,
that yesterday.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's a good half hour at a central, downtown Atlanta.
This would be moving Camden Yards to Owings Mills, but further, because Atlanta's bigger and more vast and more populous.
And no light rail and probably limited bus service, and everybody has to drive out there. That's an issue.
And you got to make the game accessible.
Yeah, and then Oakland, the Oakland-Tampa Bay situation is not good.
I was in Oakland 2.5 weeks ago to see Pearl Jam.
Okay.
They played the basketball arena in the parking
next door,
lot, right? And the first show, I went out there and did my thing and had a couple drinks and fell in and had fun. The second show, that Friday, I went out there and people were wearing A's stuff. I got off the BART. You know what that is, right? You walk across the
Bay Area Rapid Transit.
The cage. You cross the highway, and you go out, and there were like vendors and stuff, and I'm like,
the A's are playing.
The A's were playing the Angels,
right?
And the A's called the kid up that pitched like 7 innings of one-hit ball that day. Like it was a Friday afternoon 2 weeks ago. You know baseball better than me. Your division, not mine. But there was a game going on and the concert in the parking lot, and you never would have known the game.
Yeah, probably 3,000
people. The game
had
3,000 people.
Yeah,
and they were playing the Angels.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking,
so you're going to see
Ohtani's playing, Trout's here, and nobody even wants to take the BART 12 minutes across the water to pay $12.
That has to get solved, and I know that's on the commissioner's list, the top of the list, there in Tampa Bay.
Okay, so you come here, and this feels as depressed if you're in the stadium.
Yeah.
If you're in the stadium.
Better ballpark.
Okay, but the heartbeat of the franchise.
It's not.
The heartbeat of the franchise.
The heartbeat of the franchise is calling the game on radio or TV last night. JP was calling the game, and I know Rick Riz and I were walking, in the concourse downstairs, and we see all the retired numbers, all the greats who have played here, and it's a long way removed. I mean, from
Earl
Eddie
Brooks, Cal,
right?
Yeah, Palmer,
absolutely, Eddie, Frank. I'm old enough to remember, all of those glory days, man. Those teams were rocking, man. They were great.
So I want to have some fun with you now. I did 30 ballparks in 30 days back in 15 for the Bone Marrow Registry for my wife. We swapped. After her first battle, before the second. So you and I may have reached to you. But the night I was in Seattle, something momentous happened that day. We lost Bobby Nick, a dear friend of mine, seatmate of mine at 513. I was literally sitting in the Metropolitan Grill.
Oh, everybody goes there.
I was sitting in the Metropolitan Grill. When Bobby Nick passed away. And then that night I walked, and my celebrity that night was Phil Gordon. Phil Gordon, the poker player, and a great guy. So Phil lives in Seattle. He's in the tech space. And we went up to the game, and I did the whole ring of the stadium.
Yeah.
The left field bleachers have a statue to a broadcaster.
A right field concourse.
Right field concourse. Sorry,
Dave Niehaus. Yeah.
Dave Niehaus. Yeah. So a broadcaster has a statue in the bowl of the stadium.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
That's an amazing thing.
Yeah, it is. Well, you got to. Here's the thing. The story on that franchise is born in '77. The majority, I would say, they tell me that 80 to 90% of the games for about 20 years were almost exclusively on radio. So he was the voice. That's all they knew.
They didn't have a cable operator. There was no right?
They did
all that.
Limited over-the-air TV, minimal games, maybe 20, 30 games. So people have grown up in the Pacific Northwest. Dave Niehaus is like their uncle.
Well, we had Chuck Thompson here. He was a Philly guy.
No, understood. I love Chuck.
I mean,
Chuck
come
Thompson.
on, callous, right?
But I'm talking about never seeing a guy. I'm talking about the voice being ingrained, home games, road games, every day, 162 games in 181 days, how it goes. He was really big. I was brought in 2007. Dave passed in 10. But, of course, now our TV package is one of the best.
So you work with Dave?
Oh, yeah, a little bit. When I first got there, I was a seatmate on the charter. And then occasionally, like when Rick would take off, I'd get to work with Dave. And the way the rotation went, I'd be on radio. Hi, how are you? Set it up. Do color for 3 innings and go do TV and fourth through to the end of the game. And then when Dave passed, I did all TV, and then they brought in Aaron Goldsmith, and now I do about 60-40, 60% 40 TV radio.
How many games you do? $120?
Oh, I'm probably going to do about $145, $150.
You do almost all. You're like a warhorse catcher. Literally.
Well, why not? Yeah. Yeah, why not? I like what I do. You know, I was.
Tell me about that. Did you like what you do? Because I don't know that I would like being over here watching empty baseball the last 5 years.
Well,
I don't feel like I'm missing anything for me.
See, I had my share of 100. I don't remember the exact number, but in my 15 years, now my 16th, I've had my share of 100 lost seasons and 90 lost seasons. The way I survived, I ate too much and I blew up to about 249.
Dude, you had Ichiro, man. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, that was good. And we had Junior. He came back in 09 and then bailed in 10 when he said, hey, I don't have it, I'm done. And
Right.
God bless. Okay. But we had some bad years, but we've also had some really good runs. This past year, we made that, it was like the finish of the Preakness. Coming down the stretch, they come, and we missed by a game. 18, it was 21, 18 we just missed, 16 we just missed, and 14 we just missed. My thing is, having been a newspaper reporter, sports anchor, sports talk show host, I like talking to people. So for me,
That's why you came here.
Well, yeah, and if you're having 100 lost seasons, there's stories in the other clubhouse. So I get to know everybody in the American League and all the managers. So I always had something to talk about. And it was great. And then supplement it with what I get from our guys, and there you go.
This is 50-50 for me because, like, in 06, I did the walkout, the Free the Birds walkout. Angelos made me, persona non grata. So I have not had a press pass for baseball for 16 years. So they took my press pass. They credential Luke, and I pay an employee. Luke's at the ballpark. Literally, you'll see him today. He saw him last night. I asked him, "Is Dave Sims around?" He's like, "Yeah, I saw him downstairs." I'm like, "Have him stop by Luna Del C tomorrow and have a crab cake with me." By the way, you need crab cake?
No, I'm good, man.
You're
good? I just had a big brunch, if you will.
Well, a Philadelphia guy comes in, and I want to treat you.
Yeah,
right,
no, I
know?
appreciate that.
You're out on the road.
See, here's the other thing you got to consider too. I was telling Kenny and I were talking about this. I knew, and I was a pretty decent baseball player in high school and college, played D3, whatever. But I knew I wanted to be a broadcaster. And after 7 years as a newspaper reporter, I got into broadcasting, eventually got into doing play-by-play. I was 54 years old by the time I got this baseball job. I wanted this job when I was 34. So for me, working 145,
I still might be the voice of the Orioles later.
Hey,
maybe new ownership. Who knows,
you know what? I never quit.
That's
Persevering.
all I wanted to do, though, right? If you would have said to me, I could have your gig. At 21, if I would have been the voice of the Orioles, I'd have been like, first off, I'm not qualified because I was a sports writer like you. I worked at the News American, the Sun, all of that. So writing is my first thing, right? But I don't know that I like it enough anymore. And my last name's Aparicio, right? So for the last 16 years.
Yeah, you would think there'd be a layup, right?
So I would say this. The last 16 years of not being around it, I always say to my wife, it's bought me time at this point in my life to do other things.
Yeah. No, understood.
The fact that they lock me out, and I would say this to Greg Bader, you did me a favor. You know what I mean? You did me a favor.
I've had gigs
I've done
happened.
other things
Right.
because that didn't work, and it didn't work in that way. And that being said, I lived down here for 19 years. I looked at the empty ballpark every morning. My bedroom looked at the ballpark. My office looked at the ballpark.
Where the heck were you?
I was in Harbor Court,
the
red brick building.
Oh, I got you.
Two blocks down, 1 block over, 23rd floor, right? So, and I've been to, not counting the playoff games because I went to a couple of those, I've been to 15 games in the last 20 years.
No, I understand. I totally get it. Yeah, I get it.
Because I'm not welcome.
Yeah.
they don't want me there, even though I talk about them on the radio every day and I watch them and whatnot. But I really do feel like there was something else in my life that I was meant to do because of that. The cause and reaction. And I feel like I haven't missed much here. Right. But I do feel like, and I'm smelling it a little bit, with Rutschman coming up, this is a better version of the ball, even though you saw them get their ass kicked on
that
game
happens.
one.
That's going to happen anyway.
But this is a better ball club right now. And I think it's September when they get these kids up.
I told people that 2 days ago, Sunday in our season finale, talking about, hey, we're going to be going on the road. I said, you may want to look at that Baltimore record. It's not impressive, but they're better. And this is not going to be a rollover walking into Baltimore and going, hey, boys, we're here,
like it used to be.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. And, and our ball club is scuffling. We got our share of injuries like everybody else and, some ineffectiveness and that kind of stuff. But, it's a challenge. I like it. And again, I don't always put everything in terms of black and white. But I'm representing a group of people and my generation and generation before me that wouldn't even bother dreaming of doing what I'm doing.
Right.
And I'm doing, and I hear from a lot of young black guys around the country who are or want to get into sports or are into sports. Hey, man, can you critique my tape? I like what you do, yada, 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 that kind of thing.
It's hard being a young African-American 25-year-old broadcaster to know anything about baseball because it probably didn't come to you.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean? To have the depth of knowledge you and I have. I can go over and do baseball right now because I know baseball history.
Right.
But if you didn't grow up with baseball, you can't be a broadcaster.
Let me accentuate that point by saying when we have basketball and football players over to throw out the first pitch, it's scary how poorly dudes
they've never thrown a baseball. Right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's and this is like it's part of my blood when I was growing up the road here in Philly. I mean, everything was baseball.
Well, you text me how far away from Camden Yards are. I said I think I could throw a baseball in a hop or two.
Yeah,
and hit the Sports Legends Museum for sure.
Yeah.
I still call it that. Angelo's put that out of business too. Dave Sims is here. He is the voice of the Seattle Mariners, wearing his 42, having fun, stopping by with Root Sports. Before I let you go, and I do want you to talk about your love of baseball, but I'll bring this full circle into this because if Ichiro had played here, I would have gone to more games because I was a little bit of a goober for him. You know what I mean? Like,
great player.
Well,
if you come out to Seattle, you can watch him throw BP. You can watch him shag every day. He's his body fat.
He comes to the ballpark?
Oh, and every home game.
No, tell me this.
Dude, he's at the ballpark every day. He and Julio Rodriguez are boys. He throws a very good BP. He shags like he's ready to play the game. If you could give him an opportunity to take another AB, he would do it in a blink. He's an unbelievable. He's got to be 47, 48
Is his
now.
English good enough to sit and do this or no?
Oh, absolutely.
It
but
is?
He's not going to do it.
You never do it?
No.
I've never seen him sit in English and really
Well, here's the thing, too.
express.
Think back to the games you would see him. Like, say, the All-Star game. He gets a base knock. He's at first base, and he's going, hey, man, what's up? How you doing? Good to see you. Everything good? Hey, what's up, my nizzle? Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up, baby? What's going on? He likes the black culture, too. He came up and threw a few things to me, some rap things. I said, dude, I don't even follow that, and you're way more contemporary than I am.
You've talked to him a lot, obviously. Know him a little bit?
Enough a little bit. He's a good dude. I tell you what, he is solely, his life is baseball, man. And did you see the video off-season pitching against an all-star girls team? And he was really pissed at himself because he hit a girl. He tried to throw a breaking ball and hit a girl. I think it really got away from him. I think it was a left-hand hitter hit her in the shoulder. And the girl was like, oh, I got hit by a drone. But, I mean, he's in a good way fanatical and maniacal about baseball. And you can talk baseball with him. And you should see when visiting teams come in, and they see him on the Miriam's like flock is like a line, dude. I gotta give some dap to.
I
Mitch.
would line up to hang time with Ichiro.
Yeah,
totally.
He's a special dude.
What do you still love about it? Give me what you love because you're getting on airplanes, flying, other than hanging out with guys like me.
Well, no, I mean it's just the history of the game. You have a picture of Mr. Robinson stealing home. Looks like he was out on that play, but
he got under the tag there. Come on,
he did. All right.
That way.
I just grew up with it. It's in my blood. I like the theory of it. I like the.
How do you feel about the shift? How do you feel about the game changing?
But it's going to be changed. Thank goodness. I like the strategy. I like the drama. I love the drama. And I like it when guys are fired up. Like our kid, Julio Rodriguez, I say he plays with the joy of the two dudes who wore 24 and the other guy that wore 21. I'm talking about Mays, Griffey, and Clemente. That's the kind of joy this kid plays for. I love seeing that.
I always loved Griffey. Griffey was always kind
to me. How do you not love? Yeah, absolutely.
Ken Griffey was – I remember he checked in after flying all night the day of the workout, 93.
For the All-Star game?
Yeah. And, I was around the team all the time at that point 30 years ago. Ballparks knew. And I remember he just came in and literally put his bags down. And I knew he'd flown all night, and I knew he played Sunday. I knew all of that. And he sat at his locker and just could not have been – I just remember having a wonderful half an hour as he put his stuff away.
Dude can talk.
And he was talking to me, and he was not like a star.
No, he's a regular dude.
Other ball players
he's a regular
big
dude
league
who's worth gazillions and is a very successful businessman, great father. I mean, he's a friend. I mean, the guy's unbelievable. He comes in the stadium. He comes up to T-Mobile, and the place just like,
good.
Who lit the torch?
I'm glad that that's still there.
Yeah, man.
We need a little more of that Cal magic down here. We still have Brooks Thank God.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
celebrated 85.
God bless him.
Thanks
Yeah.
for making time.
Hey, my pleasure,
Old friends,
man.
man. Nothing like it. Dave Sims here from the broadcast team of the Seattle Mariners for being our guest. He will get a Betty Boop scratch-off ticket courtesy of the Maryland Lottery. Our friends at Goodwill also do what we do here. And at some point, I'm going to finish this crab cake because I haven't had a chance to eat it yet. And I've got tartar. I'm going to get that as well. We're at Luna Del C. It's all brought to you by our friends at Window Nation. They're doing 2 for 2 all month long. I want to make a shout-out for that. The Maryland Crab Cake Tour, we're going to take a little respite next week. We're going to be back after it. I believe on the 17th. There is a chance, Dave Sims, in Mr. Soccer City, Seattle, and all that.
I used to cover soccer way
Dude,
back
we
when.
got a chance to get World Cup games here. And on the 16th,
Do it.
The announcement happens the 16th in New York. The Baltimore-Washington bid is together. It was decreed that it must be together. And I'm starting to think there'll be games over at the Purple Crab Cake here in the summer of 2026.
You'll like it. I covered the New York Cosmos when Pele was at the back end of his career.
75, 76, like that?
78,
NASL?
yeah, 76, 77, 78, when they were loaded. Beckenbauer,
yeah.
Canalia. That was a good crew. It was a great crew, as a matter of fact.
You've done it all.
I've been very lucky.
You have been very fortunate. It's going to do Oriole Mariner baseball tonight over at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. I got a delicious crab cake here. I want to thank Tony aside. We got great guests coming up. Ivan Bates going to be joining us here. Doug Butchke just walked in. We have other friends here. I got to get Dave over to the ballpark. He's got to fix his hair and get ready for You do television tonight or radio? Radio tonight. Don't fix your hair. Put your hat on. I am Nestor. We are WNST. Back for more. Doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. We're at Luna Del C down on Pratt Street. Come on down here and say hello to Tony and get that delicious crab cake that may or may not be borrowed from the Pimlico Hotel.